Kind of response video to that How the World Works guy again. He was ragging on some, little simplistic little propaganda bit, about the environment and all that stuff, and I guess they might play it in schools or something. And, it's kind of a benign, video about, maybe we have to be a little more responsible human beings and how we, treat the environment and all that kind of stuff. And so, of course, he has to take it as, he has to argue against it with just overkill and nonsense. So let's go through some of the overkill and nonsense. Hey, there's little funny slight spots on my... It's the planet getting back. Maybe it's the planet, I don't know. It might just be light spots.
System, and we live on a finite planet, and you cannot run a linear system on a finite planet indefinitely.
Okay, the use of the word finite is extremely misleading. When people think of the word finite, they think of a petri dish where bacteria have a limited amount of space to grow. She's saying that we have a limited amount of space for our waste and a limited amount of space for human beings. This is also demonstrated with the exponential growth function, which argues that humans are increasing at an exponential rate and our waste and production are increasing at an exponential rate, and we are going to run out of resources. The problem is that that argument does not factor in efficiency and prices. One way to think of efficiency is to think of a calculator. It used to fill an entire room to do the amount of work that a handheld calculator can do today. The same is true with microchips, which are continuously getting smaller while holding more and more information. With garbage and waste, we're actually using less and less space because we compact garbage better than we ever did in the past. And the fact of the matter is, the Earth is compacted with tons and tons of resources that we don't even know how to use yet. In fact, the deepest mine is no deeper than 15 miles, and it's 4,000 miles to the center of the Earth. Prices has to deal with the fact that as prices naturally increase, as resources become more and more scarce, well, then people will ration those resources naturally without centralized planning. That is...
Oh, come on, without centralized planning. You have to, of course, use this word centralized like it's a big bogeyman. Yeah, why don't you just say without rational regulation? Because that's what you're against, is rational regulation. Yeah, of course, everything about our existence is a testament to doing things the sloppy, stupid way. Cities are laid out poorly and inefficiently. People travel too far to work. Water mains are 80 or 90 years old and breaking all over the place. There's huge inefficiencies in how we're living because we don't do things right the first time, because no one demands that we do it right the first time. So we do everything slipshod and half-assed. We even did the internet that way, and that's why we have a $10 billion worth of spam and wasted time on the internet, because we allow a few malicious assholes to fuck everybody up.
After all, more than 50% of our federal tax money is now going to the military.
More than 50% of our tax dollars goes to the military, according to whom? Oh, that's right, it's the War Registers League, an anti-war group, who consciously takes out Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security from when it's factoring in the budget because it claims it's part of a trust account, which it isn't a trust account. The fact of the matter is, it's factoring in the budget because it claims it's part of a trust account, which it isn't a trust account. The fact of the matter is that our tax dollars go to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, and in that case, defense is only 20%.
Oh, yeah, see, again, so why? It's not a trust account because you say so? Is that it? Because you say so? Everybody knows it's, the concept. Everybody knows the concept of payroll taxes, and they know they're paid a different way than income taxes are paid. Everybody's pretty fucking aware of that, and that they're paid by different people. Income taxes are a progressive tax on income paid by, generally speaking, people doing the wellest in the country. Payroll taxes are paid by everyone working, mostly. So, you're just playing the game, all right? And those accounts are intended to finance themselves, and they don't run deficits, while the income taxpayers, the richest taxpayers in the world, have been given huge tax cuts, and they haven't been paying their bills, and now we have $13 trillion of unpaid bills.
Be of the people, by the people, for the people. It's the government's job to watch out for us, to take care of us. That's their job.
I was curious where on earth she got the idea that it was the government's job to take care of us. Well, it turns out that it was a misreading of the Constitution. I looked at the footnotes that accompany this video, and it turns out that footnote 5 is where she got this idea from the preamble of the United States Constitution, where it says that we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare. Well, she interpreted the promote the general welfare to mean that the government's job is to take care of us. Well, James Madison, the father of the Constitution, described exactly what the general welfare means, and it certainly does not mean that the government's job is to take care of us. So this is a misinterpretation of the Constitution that's being taught in classrooms throughout America. I can't.
Oh, yeah, you know, this is such a cheap argument. You want to go back to the Federalist Papers and the arguments between Jefferson and Madison. I mean, what's the point of doing that kind of crap? Okay, because you can get quotes from Jefferson, they'll say just the opposite. And the theme, the idea that the government has some responsibility to create some kind of thing called civilization, to create a medium where that's likely to happen and where it doesn't allow insane selfishness to get out of control. You know, you can go from the first founding fathers and keep going up down the list. I mean, you can get great George Washington quotes, you can get great quotes from even Jefferson, Adams. They all saw things happening and they said we got to do something to correct for what was happening. All right, but the Constitution wasn't perfect the day it was initiated, and it wasn't perfectly executed the first day either. So it's just such baby talk to sit there and quote you know, words out of the Constitution like, that's all written on some stone somewhere, and because that's what he says, that means that's what government is. What a pile of shit.
I cannot undertake to lay my finger on that article of the Constitution which granted a right to Congress of expending on objects of benevolence the money of their constituents. James Madison, the father of the Constitution.
Yeah, an object. What's an object? And we could sit there and take that quote apart. What's an object of benevolence? Does that mean welfare, or does that mean a regulation telling people that they can't own slaves, or a regulation saying that you can't dump your toxic waste into the public streets? I mean, get real. Benevolence has a lot of different kind of meanings. So even your own quote is a piece of crap.
With respect to the words general welfare, I have always regarded them as qualified by the detail of powers connected with them, meaning the enumerated powers. To take them in a literal and unlimited sense would be a metamorphosis of the Constitution into a character which there is a host of proofs was not contemplated by its creators. James Madison, father of the Constitution.
Yeah, whatever. Did James Madison put that father of the Constitution on there, or is that yours? All right? I mean, if you're going to quote somebody, you probably shouldn't sit there and title him something he probably wouldn't have written himself. So that's rather prickish of you right there. you know. But anyway, it's, again, what civilization doesn't just fucking happen. All right? It doesn't happen because, oh, rich people will govern us and we'll be just fine. They'll regulate us with prices. They'll tell us how much we should pay for something, and that'll keep us from doing the wrong thing.
51 are corporations.
I double-checked to see where she got that fact from, and it turns out it's from Top 200, The Rise of Corporate Global Power by Sarah Anderson and John Kavanaugh, Institute for Policy Studies, December 4th, 2000. And if you go down to the bottom, it says it explains where they got that information from. It said of the largest 100 economies in the world, 51 are corporations, only 49 are countries, and this is based on a comparison of corporate sales and country GDPs. Well, country GDPs will include corporate sales for some corporations, but so what? The fact of the matter is, if this is based on sales, that means that corporations are providing the goods and services that people need to survive, and it's a meaningless statistic.
Yeah, it's a very meaningful statistic, though, in terms of the words such as monopolization, consolidation of power, the ability to extort people. You know, we see that with oil companies and whatnot. It's much easier to have cartels when you have a limited number of big corporations running the show. Lots more room for shenanigans. You know, so that's what that's more about than anything else. And yeah, the corporations don't generate our lifestyle. Demand does. Okay, they supply demand, and they end up well, let's not even go through the list of the reasons why big corporations can exploit populations in China and do a lot of other stuff that regular Americans, with 3 or 4 employees can't.
Not any of the unions. We have no unions in America. The unions have no power.
Well, it's pretty clear they don't, you idiot. Yeah, you got a couple of big unions that are able to wield some big power. Okay, teachers, government employees, and to sit there and count every single subdivision of every local union and scroll that crap on the screen is really a cheap shot. All right, yeah, there's about 5,000 police unions. All right, you're going to count them all individually, are you? So yeah, but there's not a whole lot of workers anymore that have any union protections anymore, and we've seen what it has meant. It's meant salaries have gone right down the fucking crapper.
Not in the Chrysler bankruptcy, not with our teachers' unions. The unions are powerless and do not elect any politician.
A rational person might argue, yeah, let's get rid of monopolies and corporations, and let's get rid of unions that are using extortion to do their bargaining. Because guess what? Those are the only unions that are left anymore. And so in that sense, you might have a valid argument, but of course you take it too far.